fantasy friends. I'm the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart from HotRoster today. It's Wednesday, we got another heavy dose of basketball action slated for tonight. 24 teams in the association are going to be active, which should provide us with a lot of options to choose on HotRoster. So to help you out with your picks, I'm here to break down a couple of matchups that are expected to be available on HotRoster cards for tonight. Let's get into it. The first matchup I'm tackling features two Eastern Conference All-Stars who've been particularly dominant recently. Both Kyle Lowry of the Raps and Paul George of the Pacers have averaged more than 30 points on HotRoster over their last 9 games. But tonight should be more of a challenge for one they call PG-13 as he welcomes LeBron James and the Cavs to Indianapolis. I know that the last time these two teams met back in November, George had a pretty decent outing. He tallied a double-double by scoring 21 points and grabbing 11 boards. But George's performance that night in many ways was an anomaly, especially when you consider the fact he has nabbed 10 or more rebounds in just 3 games out of a possible 44 this season. That leads me to think, in a game where points are going to be tough, if he can't get those boards, that's going to spell big trouble. Well, his fellow All-Star Kyle Lowry, he's going to be sitting pretty in Minnesota. Without Zach LaVine in the lineup, Lowry should be in good shape for another huge night. The last time Kalo faced the T-Wolves, he carved them up with a double-double of his own, tallying 25 points and 11 assists. With no LaVine guarding Lowry, that should lead to more or less of the same thing. I like the high floor you get with Lowry. That's why I'm picking him against George on HotRoster. Another Eastern Conference All-Star who should be making an appearance on HotRoster cards is Paul Millsap of the Atlanta Hawks. You'll likely see him matched up with an up-and-coming star from the West, D'Angelo Russell of the Lakers. This matchup opens up with Paul Millsap as a 2-point favorite, which I got to say is enough to scare me off. In the last 4 games, they haven't been easy for Millsap. He has struggled statistically, recording only 15 points and 6 boards on average over that stretch. Now, part of that is because of his recent slate of games, which saw Millsap face teams ranked in the top 10 at defending power forwards. Tonight, he should be in line for a bounce-back effort against the Denver Nuggets. But I don't think it'll be enough to beat down Russell, especially when Russell is a 2-point pooch. D'Angelo and the Lakers, they're in Detroit taking on the Pistons, which should provide Russell with a huge opportunity. Pistons guard Reggie Jackson will be the one tasked with guarding Russell, which might be a problem for Detroit, considering Jackson holds one of the worst defensive ratings as a guard this season. Russell has averaged 19 points and 9 assists in his last 3 games before he played the Knicks on Monday night. I think we see him get back on that in Detroit in a big way. That's why, rough, I'm loving the pooch. Russell over Millsap in this matchup. Last but not least, HotRoster is wondering whether Drew Holiday will score greater or less than 31 HotRoster points tonight. And despite the difficult matchup against the Utah Jazz at home, I think Holiday can get it done. Over his last 6 games, he's averaged 24 points with 8 assists and 5 boards, returning top 20 value in standard fantasy leagues. And maybe more impressive might be who Holiday has done it against. 4 of these 6 games came against teams ranked in the top 12 for defensive ratings, which included the top defense in the association right now, the San Antonio Spurs. Plus, Holiday might be in for a short-term boost, given that Tyreke Evans is doubtful for tonight's game against the Jazz. Holiday's usage rate gets a 3.5-point boost when Evans is off the floor. Overall, it's just hard to overlook Holiday's success and potential tonight. That's why I'm taking the over with Jay Holla. Well, that's it for today, my fantasy friends. Make sure you tune in tomorrow when we take a look at the matchups available on HotRoster for Thursday's busy slate of NHL games. And for those of you who don't know what HotRoster is, you got to check it out. Go to HotRoster.com, download the app, give it a try. It's like no other fantasy game that you've ever played. And then for help winning the game, check out HotRoster today with me, the Raging Redhead, and my buddy Gary and Thorne every weekday at 4:30 Eastern, only on the Fantasy Sports Network. For HotRoster now, I'm Cam Stewart, and I'll see you later on.